Another question came in from email. I submitted all the required documents for the CRBA. How long will it take for me to get the certificate? Usually, the processing for the CRBA takes around 4 to 5 weeks. The reason for this is we do not print the CRBAs here in Manila or in the Philippines. What we do is after the approval, we send them out to the United States for their printing, and then they send it back to us. We need to do some quality check. Then that's the time that we send it out to the applicant. And next would be, can I? Okay. Okay, Greg. So
Okay, I can handle this next one.
Go.
Is there an express delivery service provided by the embassy? Or can I pick my documents up at the embassy? Or even at the consular agency in Cebu? In terms of delivery of documents, we do have a courier service, Air 21, that does provide all of our document delivery. That's usually what most people prefer. If you wish to come and pick them up in person in Manila, that is an option, but we do advise please call in advance to make sure that they've arrived, because if they haven't come from the U.S. yet, then we don't want you wasting a trip. In terms of picking them up at our consular agency in Cebu, I don't know. What do you think, Reg? Can they pick a crib up at Cebu?
They can actually do that as long as they will have to, again, same thing, they call up Cebu Consulate Agency and check with them first if the documents have arrived already in Cebu for them to pick it up.
Okay.
So with our next question, I don't have money to pay for the courier fee. Can I arrange to pay when the documents are delivered to my home? Yes, you can actually do that, and that's what we call a cash on delivery basis. However, we only cater that for Air 21 courier service. And it's only a minimal fee depending on the delivery address. If it's like Manila based, then it's less than 200 pesos if I'm not mistaken. So it really depends on the delivery address.
Okay. The next question is probably one of the more common questions we get, and it is, do I need to bring the NSO-issued birth certificate to the appointment, or can I just submit the local civil registry, the LCR birth certificate? And again, we refer you to our checklist. As a general rule, yes, we want you to bring the NSO birth certificate to those appointments. We do understand that depending where you are in the Philippines, sometimes it takes a little longer to get that NSO-issued birth certificate. If it's an emergency situation and you need to apply and travel with the child and you don't have time to wait for the NSO birth certificate, we can talk to you about that, but our standard is we do expect the NSO birth certificate to be presented at the time of the interview.
Okay, so I think we have a question here from Jazz Natividad from YouTube, and she asks, my fiance's ex is a U.S. citizen. That is why she is required to register for CRBA. But how can she register her son for CRBA if the biological father doesn't want to cooperate? Wow.
That's a pretty tough question.
It is.
You want to take a stab at that?
Well,
one?
we actually do get a few of these types of applications, and what we do advise them is still do a schedule of appointment, come to the U.S. Embassy, try as much to gather whatever supporting documents you can get based on the checklist. And from that point, when you reach the American Citizen Services, our citizenship examiners would look through it and see from what point we can go on. There are instances that will make sure that your time is not wasted, even if, for example, worst comes to worst, we can't accept the application, because we will definitely let you speak to consular officers that can give you advice on how you could actually take this.
Okay. Let's see. Another question from email, and one that we hear a lot about is, we've heard that DNA testing is part of the application. Is it mandatory to have a DNA test? And I can answer answer that one.
Is it really part of the application?
It is not. DNA is not testing is not a requirement for a CRBA application. Do we ask for DNA tests? Yes, we do. Under U.S. law, we cannot require someone to get a DNA test, but it is a tool that can be used by the consular officers to prove the biological relationship between the U.S. citizen parent and the child.
That's
So
right.
there is a rumor out there that we always ask for DNA tests, but it's not true. We do not always ask for them. Do we ask for them sometimes? We might, but it's a case by case.
Case basis.
Exactly.
So whenever we try recommending that, I think it really still at the bottom, at the end of the day, it's up to the parents if they want to do it. But if you don't want to go to that route, do make sure to provide a satisfactory evidence to
Yes.
prove your biological relationship to the child or to the applicant. Because then again, if you look at the checklist and even the requirements that are on the website, filiation or biological relationship is one of the essential issues that needs to be resolved
Yes.
whenever you apply consular report of birth abroad or derivative citizenship. Then again, what you're doing is you're making the child become a U.S. citizen. It's not an easy task.
No.
So, in relation to the previous question that we got, Greg, our sender asks, can I take DNA test before the appointment and include that test results with the application?
I can answer a couple different ways. Can you do the DNA test here in the Philippines before the appointment? Yes, you can if you wish, but what I will tell you is the State Department we have our own mandated procedure for DNA testing. And so if you do the test yourself, the consular officer can look at that and consider it, but we could still reserve the right to ask for our own procedures with our own DNA testing that it's actually done from labs in the United States that send the test kit to us at the U.S. Embassy. So we do have a protocol that we are required to follow for all DNA testing. So we advise people not to do it in advance because you may end up spending money that's not needed because the officer may not ask for it, or if they do, you would have to then pay again for another DNA test.
And if you are willing to do that, you can probably look through our DNA testing procedure. It's actually posted also on the website. You can just look through it under the filiation issues or filiation information and check on the procedures on how to do DNA testing. What we've posted there is the step-by-step procedure on how you do it, but it will have to be after the American officer's recommendation. So unless they're not recommended, we advise you not to go ahead and do it. So,
And kind of on the same topic of DNA testing, someone asked, how much does a DNA test cost? It does vary depending on which lab in the United States you choose. And because all of the labs that you can choose from are in the U.S., they have to be an accredited laboratory.
That's right.
But as a general rule, from our understanding, the price ranges anywhere from $500 to $800 US.
Right. And for you to check on the accredited laboratories, we provided a listing on the website under the American Citizen Services link for Consular Report of Birth Abroad or derivative citizenship. So you can just read it through. And as I've said, if you're somewhere in California or somewhere in a different state, we have a list of, I think, hundreds, if I'm not mistaken, accredited laboratories that you can choose from. Okay, so for the next question, what documents can I present to prove my physical presence in the United States? Greg, would you like to give some examples of what we usually get as what we see documents?
There is no one right or wrong answer to this question. The key is you have to have some evidence showing that you were in the United States.
Yes.
A lot of people will just use their passports because by passport stamps we can see if you've entered the U.S. or were in another country during that time frame. People might submit school records, pay stubs from a job in the United States, photographs clearly depicting them in the United States. Really anything that you can think of that would show that you were physically there in the United States at that at a certain time period can be submitted.
Right. Or if you're actually, if you've served the military, then your military records would actually be helpful for this type of requirement, such as your DD-214, your enlistment records, or some of your travel orders. If you have that, then that would be another example for you to show to us. As what Greg had mentioned, there is no right or wrong, and we don't want to limit you from what you can show to us or what you can present during by providing for the application, but make sure to have more than what's listed or what we're giving to you.
Yes. All right, so for our next question, let's see, it says, I've made a lot of short trips to and from the U.S. Do I have to include all of these trips on the forms, and how far back does the list of my trips have to go? Reg, what do you think?
Well, I think we actually get a lot of questions on this type of field because it's quite tedious to really, and challenging, I would say, to really go and reminisce from, the very first time you went to the United States. But it's very important that you provide us, as much as possible, precise dates that you went or that you were in the United States. So if you really can't remember the exact dates, or if you don't have your passports anymore to base it from, then put an estimate periods on the form. The officers will look through that, and you will have an interview with them to verify those information. Okay, so we have another question from Miss Amy De La Cruz from Google+, and she asks, "Hi, my daughters got their CRBA in 2010, and my eldest is turning 21 next year. I want to ask if she's going to file my petition. If she will file my petition, how long does it take before it will be approved? Can she petition me even if she doesn't have work yet?" Again, I think this is
very much an immigrant visa
yes.
question, and we definitely would encourage you to submit that question to our immigrant visa unit, because they are the experts on all things related to petitions and to anything immigrant visa related. If you have any immigrant visa concerns, the email address is ivmanila.replies@state.gov.
Right. So make sure to send in your emails or questions, concerns regarding visas to that email address that Greg had mentioned. Okay, so our next question is from an email. Inquiry is which is really useful for our viewers. The sender asks, "I'm having difficulty filling out the forms online. Can I handwrite them instead?" Yes, you may. You can handwrite them. We're actually getting a lot of inquiries about having difficulties in downloading the forms from the website. Probably they don't have the software that we do have. So if you're having problems with filling it out, it's fine. You may download the blank forms. Please fill them out. Make sure to complete them before you go to the embassy. Otherwise, it would consume so much time if you fill them out at the window during your interview. So we will highly appreciate that you review them at home, complete them. Please use black pen in filling them out, or at least blue, for Consular Report of Birth Abroad applications. And if you have some fields there that you're not sure how to answer them, you leave them blank, that's fine. And when you get to the embassy, our staff will assist you on how to answer them.
Okay, so the next question. I've made an online appointment, but I cannot print my appointment letter. Can I still come to my appointment? And the answer is yes, you can. But one thing we would encourage you to do, if you can't find your confirmation letter, is again call ahead and let us know. That way we can make sure your name is on the list for security purposes to get into the embassy, because the security guards will ask to see a confirmation letter. So if you can't find it, it's okay. But we just need to make sure that we're expecting you that day.
Yes. Okay, so we have a comment from Facebook from Miss Carmencita Gatbonton Lopez, and she says, "Have a nice day."
And with that, it's our time is up, and so this will be the conclusion of this episode of the Visa Hour.
That's right. And so we would like to thank everyone who have sent their questions through Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, and YouTube. And so, Greg?
Unfortunately, we are out of time, and so we do encourage you to continue posting your questions related to visas,
Yes.
or CRBAs, passports, any questions you might have for the consular section on the visa wall on our Facebook page, which is http://on.fb.me/visa wall.
Also, you can watch out for our CRBA video
Yes.
coming out soon.
Very
That's
soon.
very, very soon. So watch for that. And of course, don't forget to visit our visa blog, Satisfied Voyager, at blogs.usembassy.gov/Philippines.
And for any CRBA or citizenship related questions, really any questions related to American Citizen Services, you can email us at acsinfomanila@state.gov.
For non-immigrant concerns, email them at consmanilaniv@state.gov.
And to repeat the immigrant visa email address, it is ivmanilareplies@state.gov.
Okay, so you can watch the on-demand version of this episode on our YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/US Embassy Manila.
You can find us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/manila.usembassy.
And you can follow us on Twitter as well, www.twitter.com/US Embassy Manila.
And for all the Google users out there, you can add us to your Google Plus circles at www.plus.google.com/plus US Embassy Manila.
And for all those Instagrammers, you can check us out on Instagram. Search by looking for US Embassy Manila.
You can follow us on American Spaces on Facebook at www.facebook.com/AMSPACESPH, so AmSpacePH, and on Twitter at AmSpacesPH.
That's right.
Again, thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you next month on the next episode of the Visa Hour.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend.